To add an inactive animation you're seeing right now, how much time would you need to invest as a beginner? Well, here's the good news. Less than a 5 minutes. Of course, it might take a bit longer when you're just starting out, but once you get the hang of it, you will be able to create a site like this in around 15 minutes. And all of this is possible thanks to Frama. Frama is a modern web builder tool that's becoming increasingly popular. With its intuitive interface and a flexible canvas, you can design and launch your website directly, and even add a CMS functionality if you need to scale up. In this guide, we will be creating the demo site like this. I made sure to keep things simple and beginner friendly, so you will be able to learn all the essential concepts in Frama as we build the site together. Alright, let's dive in. Before we dive in, I'd like to introduce you to a free guide page available on the StepStip site. This is the same video you're watching right now, and it's designed specifically for beginners to follow along step by step. As you complete each step, just tick off the checklist provided below. In the reference section, you will find a useful link and note to help you out. I dropped a link to this page in the YouTube description, so you can visit it and get started. Alright, let's kick things off with step 1. For this first step, we're going to explore the Frama gallery, where you can check out some highly rated real sites built with the Frama. This will give you the solid idea of what's possible and inspire you with the different ways to create your own site using Frama. The first site is a business website that showcases a variety of the interactive animation effects. These animations give the site unique and high quality feel. Next, there's a portfolio site. As you scroll down, it feels like you're watching a short animated film, which makes for a very impressive experience. The last one is a blog page that is demonstrating that Frama isn't just for general website, but can also be used to create a highly polished blog design. Even with just these 3 examples, it's clear that Frama allows you to bring a wide range of the design to life. Plus, through the Frama marketplace, you can browse a template across various categories. By applying filter, you can also find plenty of free templates to use. In this guide, we will be creating everything from scratch, but once you grasp the editing process through this tutorial, using template will be even easier for you. Now, let's head back to the guide page. Once you check off all the completed items, we can move on to the next step. In this step, we'll get started with a Frama by creating a free account and exploring the editor interface. Let's visit the site to get started. To create your account, click on the sign up button in the top right corner. You can sign up using your Google account or email address, but for this tutorial, we'll be signing up with Google. When the sign up window appears, enter your first name and last name. Then, check the box to agree to the terms of service and click the continue button to proceed. Once your account setup is complete, you will be taken straight to the new project screen. Let's take a quick tour of the editing interface. In the center, you will see the canvas. This is where you will be building your site. And whatever you design here, you will be exactly how it appears on your website. The desktop 1200 label at the top means that this design will show up on any desktop screen that's 1200 pixels wide or more. If you want to preview how your site will actually look, just click the play icon here. You can even click full screen at the top left to see it at the actual browser size. To get back to the editor, click the Show UI button on the top left, then hit the back arrow. You can scroll up and down the screen simply by moving your mouse scroll wheel. To move the canvas itself, just click and hold the left mouse button, then drag. If you want to move the screen around more freely, click the hands icon at the bottom, then drag the screen while holding down the left mouse button. And if you need to quickly switch back to editing while moving around, just click the cursor icon at the bottom, then hold down the spacebar while dragging the screen. If you want to zoom in or out on a canvas, just click the percentage icon at the bottom. This will bring up options and shortcuts related to zooming. For reference, my favorite method, especially on a MacBook, is to hold down the Command key and use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Lastly, you can also switch between editing mode. Using this icon at the bottom, you can easily toggle between dark mode and light mode. On the left sidebar, you will see the page section, and right now, we are on a home page. If you click on layer, you can view the current layer. We will dive into the layer later when we add them, but basically, layer consists of the various elements like text, images, buttons, and containers. Clicking on the Asset tab will show you component and asset like text style or color style, which we will cover later on. Now, looking at the top menu, you will find the Insert menu. Here, you can see options for inserting elements like pages, section, navigation, and more. Through the Layout menu, you can add a frame, row, column, and even grid. And under Text, you can add a text element to your design. Alright, let's go back to the guide page. Once you check everything off, let's move on to the next step. Now we are gonna dive into actually creating the site, starting with the header. Here's a quick look at the header section we will be working on. This is the part we're gonna design. Alright, let's head back to the editing screen. Click on the Insert menu at the top left, then drag and drop the element from the navigation section into the canvas. To see the edited element, go to the Layers tab on the left sidebar. You will notice that the element is edited with the name Navigation and has a diamond icon next to it. This indicates that it's component. In Framer, a component is like a reusable block that you can use multiple times across your project. If you want to edit the component, you're not able to do it directly from this screen. Instead, you will need to go to the component editing screen. To do that, just double-click on the component. We're now in the navigation component editing screen, and if you click on the logo or menu, you will see they are editable. Let's start by replacing the logo. To do this, I will drag and drop the Step logo into the empty spot. To replace the current logo, first, check the logo's position using the Layers tab on the left sidebar. Then, drag and drop the new logo into the same position as the existing logo. You will notice the new logo is placed next to the old one. To remove the old logo, select it, right-click, and choose the Delete. You can also easily remove it by pressing the Delete key. Now, to reduce the width of the new logo, click on it, then go to the Size section on the right side, and set the width to 160. The little log icon indicates that when you adjust the width, the height will automatically adjust to keep the proportion correct. Let's position the menu all the way to the right. First, click on Desktop in the Layer panel, which is currently wrapping around both the logo and the menu. On the right side, under the Distribute option, select the space between. Feel free to explore the other options to see how they change the layout. It's a good way to understand how they work. Now, if you look at the menu, you will notice there is no padding on the right side. To give it equal padding like the logo, click on the link layout, which is wrapping the menu in the layout panel. On the right sidebar, find the padding option, click the icon to adjust the padding individually, and then add a 10 pixel of the padding to the right. Now, let's edit the menu text. You can simply double-click on the menu to edit it directly, or you can click on it and make change through the content section on the right. Let's change the content to About. You will see the change applied right away. Next, we will update the remaining item to Service, Testimonials, and Contact, and then we will delete the last menu item. As for the links in the menu item, we will set those up after finishing the rest of the site. Before we finish editing the header, let's take a look at the right side of the screen where you will see the element label Phone and Phone Open. These are the components designed for mobile view, allowing you to switch to a mobile layout when needed. If you click on the phone, you will notice it's linked to a phone open in the interaction on the right. You can see that it's set up to display phone open when clicked. It's also important to understand a key concept about a component. For example, the current desktop component is the primary component. The component consists of the primary component and different variant with the other structure and style. When you make change to primary component, those changes are automatically reflected in all its variants. That's why when you updated the menu in the primary component, the changes were also applied to the phone open screen. However, if you make change in a variant, it won't affect the primary component. Now that we have covered the basic of the component, let's head back to the home editing screen by clicking the home button at the top. To make sure the mobile layout is applied properly, you will need to add a screen for each device using breakpoint. To do this, click on breakpoint and add a tablet screen. Then, while on the tablet screen, click the breakpoint again and add a phone screen. Now, if you check the screen for each device, you will notice that the navigation component isn't displaying correctly. To fix this, go back to the desktop screen, click on the navigation component, and change the width setting from fixed to fill on the right side. Check the other device screen again, and you should see that it's now displaying correctly. When you set an element to fill, it will automatically stretch to fill the width of its parent element. This is really handy for creating responsive design that adjusts to the different device. Let's briefly go over how changes apply to each device screen. When you add or edit elements on the desktop screen, those changes are automatically reflected on a tablet and phone screen as well. For example, if you click on Frame in the Layout menu and add it to the desktop screen, you will see that it's also added to all device screen. However, if you make edit on tablet or phone screen, those changes won't affect the desktop. To see this in action, go ahead and delete the frame you added from the tablet screen. Even if you delete the frame on the phone screen as well, you will notice it still remains on the desktop. And don't forget to delete the frame from the desktop screen too. Finally, let's cover one more important concept related to components. Remember the phone variant we saw in the navigation component? You will notice that it's currently applied to the phone screen. This didn't happen automatically based on the device. It was set using the variant option in a component section after clicking on it. Understanding this allows you to apply mobile-like layout to the tablet screen as well. If you want to do that, simply click on the component in the tablet screen and change the variant to phone. You will see the layout update. Once you have done that, let's preview the finished header by clicking the preview button in the top right. In the previous screen, if you reduce the width, you will notice that the menu changes to the mobile version, and when you click it, the menu displays correctly. Now, if you increase the width again, you might see that the logo and menu stretch to full size. I will show you how to set maximum width to prevent that from happening if you don't like. Click the back arrow to return to the editing screen. On the desktop screen, click on the navigation component. In the layer panel, right-click on the selected navigation component and choose Add Stack to wrap the component in the new layout. With the layout added, double-click the name and change it to Wrapper. Next, using the wrapper layout, click on the input field on the sides, then select the max width option. Change the unit to fixed, and set the maximum width to your preference. We will keep it at 1200. Once again, in the layer panel, right-click on the wrapper and choose the Add Stack to add a parent layout. Double-click the name and change it to Header Section. The reason we added this section is that the wrapper's max width is set to 1200, so it doesn't cover the entire background. This means we cannot set a background color for that area, which is why we use the section to handle it. Moving forward, whenever we add a section, we will use structure that consists of section, wrapper, and container. The section will handle the background and overall layout. The wrapper will set the maximum width for the contents, and the container will wrap the inner element to help with the alignment and positioning. By using this clear structure to build your site, you will be able to work on the design more efficiently. Now, to check if the settings have been applied correctly, click the preview icon again. You should see that the contents only expand up to the maximum width you set. Once confirmed, return to the editing screen. Let's head back to the guide page. Once you check everything off, let's move on to the next step. In this step, we'll be editing the hero section. This is the prominent top part of the site that visitors notice first. We will add animation to the icons later, but for now, let's use one of the framers built-in design to create a hero section. Alright, let's head back to the editing screen. To add a design, click the Insert button in the top left corner. Choose the element from the options provided on the section. Once added, you will see the hero design automatically appear. In the Layers tab, you will notice it's been added with the name Header. To apply the structure we talked about earlier, first rename Header to Wrapper. Next, change the height setting for the wrapper from fixed to fit contents. Then, click on the input field to add a max width option, set the unit to fixed, and keep it at 1200. Change the apply padding value to 0. Now, in the Layers panel, right-click on Wrapper, select the Add Stack to add a layout, and rename it to Hero Section. To set the padding value individually, click the icon, then set the top and bottom to 250 and the left and right to 15. Next, double-click on the text to edit it as an example. First, click on the main heading, and you will see the text editing section on the right, where you can adjust the font, weight, color, size, and other options. If you want to save this style as a preset for consistent use, Go to Styles, click the Input field, and select a new style. Since this element is a heading 1, choose heading 1. The style is now saved as a heading 1. If you ever want to edit the saved style, just click on the style and then click the edit on the right to make your change. Close the window and this time click on the text below. Since this text won't be reused elsewhere, there is no need to save it as a style. Change the width setting to fit content and make the text 2 lines by pressing enter. Next, reduce the size to 20 pixels and change the line height from 1.5 to 1.3. If you want to adjust the spacing between elements, click on the wrapper that's enclosing these elements in the Layers panel. You will see the pink line between the elements, allowing you to adjust the spacing visually, or you can edit the gap on the right. Let's set the gap to 25. If you want to reduce the spacing between just the text elements, you will need a parent layout that wraps around them. To add this, hold down Shift and select all the text elements. In the Layers panel, right-click and choose Add a Stack to add a layout. Let's rename this new layout to Container. Now, you can adjust the spacing between the text elements. Set the gap to 15. Now, let's edit the button below. Since buttons are often used multiple times across the site, it's efficient to create them as a component. So, we will turn this button into a component for reuse. First, click on the text inside the button and change the size to 17. Next, click on the button itself and change the fixed height setting to fit content. For the padding value, keep the top and bottom at 15 and change the left and right to 30. Next, to change the color, click on Fill. If you frequently use certain colors and want to save them for easy access, click the plus icon next to Style. Let's name it Primary. Enter the desired color code and click Create. Now, whenever you want to change your color, you can easily select it from the saved color below. Once you apply your desired button style, close the window, click on the button, and right-click. Select Create Component. Keep the name as Button, and click Create. You now enter the component editing screen for the button. When you click on the button, you will see plus icon appear at the bottom and right side. First, click the plus icon below and select the hover option. This allows you to define how the primary button's style will change when hovered over. In the hover button settings, use Fill to select the color that's slightly darker than the primary color. Next, click on the primary button, and you will see a plus icon on the right side. This lets you add a variant of the button where you can design a different style. To create a different style, remove the background fill from this button, click on Border, set the width to 2, and change the color to primary. Select the text inside the button and change its color to primary. To set a hover style for this button as well, click the plus icon below and choose the hover option. Set the fill to the primary color, remove the border. and then click on the text and change its color to white. Now, you created two versions of the button, and to clearly distinguish them, you can rename the variants. Rename the first button to Primary Button in the Layers panel. Rename the second button to Outline Button. Finally, when you use this component, certain elements like the button text or link may need to be customized. To set this up, click on the text inside the primary button, click the plus icon next to Contents, and select the Create Variable, then choose Plain Text. After closing the window, click on the primary button to set up a link variable. At the top, click the plus icon next to Link, and then click the plus icon next to Link to. Select the Create Variable. Set the button to open in the same tab by choosing No for New tab, and set the scroll behavior to Smooth. That completes the necessary setting for the button component. Now, return to the home editing screen. After selecting the button added as a component, you can see the component related option on the right. You will notice that you can edit the button text through the title and the button link through the link. Let's change the title to Learn More, and delete the button beside it. To add another button, drag and drop the button component from the Asset tab on the left sidebar. Click on the Edit button and select the Outline Button variant from the option. Then change the title to Contact Us. We now successfully edit the button using the component and complete the hero section. Let's check how it looks on other device. It seems like some adjustments are needed on the tablet and mobile version. If you click on the contents area, you will see that the wrapper's height is still fixed at 600. Let's change this to fit contents just like on the desktop. In the mobile version, also click on the wrapper, set the height to fit contents, and change the padding value to 0. Now, select the hero section, and you will notice that the top and bottom padding of 250 is too large, so let's change it to 100. Finally, if you look at the heading 1 font size, you will see it's the same across all devices. To set different size for each device, click on the Asset tab, select the saved heading 1 style, and click on Breakpoint below. This will divide the size into L, M, and S, allowing you automatically set different font size for each device. So feel free to adjust the size as needed, and after editing, close the window. We now completed a hero section. While it took some time because we explained the concept along the way, once you start understanding and applying these concepts, you will be able to create a much faster. Now, let's head back to the guide page. Once you've checked everything off, let's move on to the next step. In this step, we'll be creating and editing the About section. If you take a quick look, this is the About Us section we will be building together. Unlike before, we won't be using pre-made design element. Instead, we will be creating the section from scratch. This will show you that you can manually build a section without relying on pre-made design, and we will also use a moving ticker to display information as you can see here. Alright, let's get started. To add a About Us section below the Hero section, first, click on the Layout menu at the top and select the frame. Then drag and drop it below the hero section. To make it easy to distinguish, change the background color of this section to the primary color using the fill option. If you notice that the section is getting cut off, it's because the height is fixed. To adjust this, click on Desktop and change the height from 1000 to 5000. Although you could change the height to fit content so that it adjusts automatically as elements are added, another option is to extend it enough upfront and then switch to fit content later for convenience. Now, click on the frame you just added, go to the Layer tab on the left, and rename it About section. Change the width of this frame to fill, then click on the text menu at the top and add a title and a brief example description inside the frame. When you add a text inside the frame, you will notice in the Layer panel that the frame is automatically set as the parent element. Next, click on the About Us text, change the weight to extra bold, set the size to 48 pixels, and adjust the letter spacing to -1 pixels. To save this font style as a heading 2, click on the Style Info field, then click the New Style icon and select the heading 2. Now, click on the description below, change the font size to 20 pixels, and set the line spacing to 1.6. To evenly space the text element, click on About section in the layer, then add a layout by clicking the plus icon next to Layout on the right. Once the layout is added, you will see that the About section has changed to row layout from the frame. If you want to change the layout to column instead, you can do so by adjusting the direction settings. Next, click on the description text and set a maximum width to reduce the width spacing. Set the max width to 550 using the fixed unit, and align the text to the center. To add a padding to the section, click on About section and change the fixed height setting to fit content. Next, click the icon that allows you to set padding individually and set the top and bottom padding to 100 and the left and right to 15. Now, to add a ticker element, click on the Insert menu in the top left. Drag and drop the ticker from the interactive menu below the text element. Set the width of the ticker to fill and the height to 300. To add a team member info inside the ticker, first drag and drop an image into an empty spot. Let's start by setting the height of the image to match the ticker's height at 300. To add a team member's name and title, click on Frame under the Layout menu at the top, then add it inside the image. Click on the edited frame, and to center it, click the Center Alignment icon. Set the position to 10 from the bottom, with a width of 180 pixels and a height of 70 pixels. Change the color to white and set the border radius to 5. To add a name, click on Text at the top and add it inside the frame, then enter the name. If the text is white, change the color to black. Set the weight to bold. Now, click text again to add a position inside the frame. Set the weight to regular and change the size to 16 pixels. To align the two text elements, click on the frame, then click Layout on the right. Set the gap between the text element to 0, keeping the center alignment. If you want to adjust the positioning, you can use the Distribute and Align option for more flexibility. Once editing is complete, right-click on the team member card design and select Duplicate to make 2 copies. You can replace the image by clicking on it, selecting the fill, and choosing a different image. And the text can be edited. Let's go ahead and make some changes. Now, let's add these designs to the ticker. To do this, click on the ticker, then drag the icon on the right to connect it to our design. Repeat this process to add other design. Click on Preview to see how it looks. Scroll down to check. You should see the team member images displayed. Next, let's adjust the spacing between text elements and the ticker's gap and speed. Additionally, when you increase the screen width, you will notice that the tickers expand without any width limit. This happened because we haven't set a maximum width using a wrapper, so we will add it as well. Let's return to the editing screen. First, click the ticker and set the speed to 60% to slow it down. Set the gap to 25 to increase the spacing. Now, to add a wrapper layout for this section, select all elements within the About section in the Layer panel. Then, add a layout using Add a Stack. Rename it to Wrapper. Add a maximum width and set it to fixed value of 1200. To adjust the spacing between the elements in the wrapper, set the gap to 75. To separately adjust the spacing between the text element, select the all text elements, add a layout using Add a Stack, and set the gap to 15. Also, rename the new layout to Container. We've completed editing the About section. Click on Preview to check it out. Even when you reduce the width, you can see that display without a problem. Now, let's get back to the editing screen and head back to the guide page. Alright, once you check off everything that's done, let's move on to the next step. Now, we're gonna create and edit the service section. If we take a quick look at the service section in advance, you will notice it's laid out with a clean card design and use icon for each service. Frame will make it easy to grab these icons from platforms like Google, and in this step, we will learn how to use them. Then, let's go back to the editing screen. Before we jump into creating the service, let's review the section we made so far through the layer. As mentioned earlier, we consistently structure them with a section, wrapper, and container. Following this structure makes it easier to manage and edit later on. So let's go ahead and add a service section. One of the quick ways to do this, especially when maintaining consistent style, is by duplicating previously used section. Let's click on the About Us section in the Layers panel, right-click, and choose Duplicate. We will then rename the About section to Service section. Next, we will change the text color. Select all the text and change it to black through the color option. Select the edit ticker below and delete it by pressing the Delete key. Lastly, click on the section and remove the color in the Fill section. Now that we have quickly brought it in a consistent style, we can just update the text and add any necessary element. Let's first edit the text to fit the service section. To design the service card, start by clicking on Layout at the top and selecting the frame. Add a frame to an empty spot on a canvas. Change the background color of the frame to a light gray. To save this, click the plus icon at the bottom, name it Gray BG, and save. Now, to add an icon, click on the Insert menu at the top. For this example, let's select the material from the icon option. After the icon is added, you will see material site link on the right. Go ahead and click the link to visit the site. You will see that the icons are provided by Google. If you find an icon you like, feel free to search around. For this example, we're going to find an icon related to consulting, so let's search for the chat. The icon we will use is called Forum. Now, head back to the editor. Click on the icon again, then click on the Search tab on the right. Enter Forum in the name field. You will see that the icon changes according to the name you have selected. If you want to switch to a different style, you can check the style options, and we will go with the outline option for this one. Feel free to use this way whenever you need to find and add icons. Now, let's drag and drop the icon we added into frame. Next, we will add some text below it to include the service name and description. Once you've added all the necessary elements, we will move on to change the style. Click on the icon, and to keep the size consistent, activate the lock between width and height, then set the width to 70. Change the color to primary color. To edit the text, click on the service title, change the weight to bold and the size to 24 pixels. Click on the description text and change the weight to medium. Now, let's make sure everything is aligned properly. Click on the frame and add a layout. Set Distribute to Start and Align to Left. To adjust the spacing, set the gap to 25 and the padding to 35. For the text elements, we will set the spacing separately, so select only the text element and add a layout. Set Align to Left. Finally, click on the overall stack layout and set the height to fit contents so it adjusts automatically. Let's drag and drop the completed card design under the container in the service section through the layer panel. After adding it, we plan to show a total of 4 services, so click on the card design and duplicate it until having 4 cards. Select all the card design and add a layout through the Add stack. Change the layout type to grid. Check that column and row are set correctly and adjust the spacing by setting the gap to 25. Rename this layout to Container. Now, since the service section is different from the others, click on Wrapper in the Layer panel and set the max width to 800 to limit the width. Let's now edit the icon and text for the other service. Alright, we finished editing the service section, so let's check how it looks on different devices. It looks fine on tablet, but on the phone, the card design seems a bit too narrow, so let's fix that. Click on the container associated with a grid. Change the column from 2 to 1. Now, you will see that it adjusts properly to the mobile view. Let's head back to the guide page now. After confirming everything, let's proceed to the next step. In this step, we're gonna add and edit the testimonial section. If we take a look at the preview, this is where the customer testimonials appear. This time, we will be using a free kit provided by Framer. UI kits are a collection of pre-designed elements that you can simply copy and paste into your project to make the design process quicker and more efficient. To check out the free kit, head back to the guide page and click on the link I left in the reference. Click the Get for Free button, then select the Get for Framer. It will just take a moment to bring in the kit. The project with this kit will be automatically added to your dashboard. To see the available kits, look at the page on the left sidebar, and you will notice they are divided by each part. Go ahead and click on Testimonials. You will see various styles, and we will use one of these designs. Click on the design you like, right-click, and select Copy. Let's go back to the project editor. Right-click on an empty space and paste in it. Now that we have successfully brought it in, let's drag it below the service section. You could leave it as is, but to maintain a consistency with the rest of our design, change the width to fill. Set the gap to 75 and the padding to 0. In the layers, rename this layout to Container. Next, add the parent layout to this one and rename it Wrapper. And a max width and set it to 1200. Add one more layout and rename it to Testimonial section. Then, set the padding for this section to 100 pixels top and bottom, and 15 pixels left and right. Let's also update the title text here. Change the alignment to center, and for consistency, click on it and set the style to heading 2. Change the color to black. Now that we have finished editing the testimonial section, let's check how it looks on different devices. It looks like the mobile view needs some tweaking, so click on the layout wrapping the testimonials. Let's change the direction to reverse. Everything looks good now. Let's head back to the guide page. After checking everything, let's move on to the next step. In this step, we're gonna add and edit the contact section. Let's take a quick look at the section. We're gonna add this section and we will use Framer's basic design to put it together quickly. So let's head back to the editor. We will use the same method as before by copying the entire About Us section. Go to the About Us section and copy the whole thing. Let's paste it into an empty space first. Now drag this section below the testimonial section. After adding it, rename this section to Contact section in the layers and change the width to fill. Let's change the background color of this section from the primary color to black. Delete the ticker below by pressing the delete key and update the text. To add a contact form, click on the Insert menu at the top. Find the contact form on the section and click on it. Since we only need a form from this section, select the form, then click on the layout wrapping the form in the layer. Rename it to Container. Now drag it below the container in the contact section. After moving it, remove the rest part. Let's edit the form now. To adjust the form width, click on the form container in the layer panel. Change the max width to 600. You can edit the placeholder text and the info field by clicking on them and using the placeholder option on the right. If you want to make any field required, you can set it to yes under the required option. To change or add other type of info field, you can explore options on the type. Here, set the input height for the name and email field to 50. For the button, if you click on it and check through the layer panel, you will notice it's made up of component. To edit it, go ahead and double click. Since this component is linked from another project, click on Link Instance if you only want to use it in this project. You can see the different button style. Select the primary button and change the color to the primary color. Then, select the button text and change the size to 17 pixels. There are also styles for when the button is hovered or pressed. Set this to be slightly darker than the primary color. Once you finish the editing, let's return to the main editing screen. The button has been successfully applied. To set the email address where submission will be sent, click on the form through the layer panel. On the right, on the form section, click on Send to, and you can set the email through the email option. Below that, there's a redirect option where you can enter the URL to redirect to after form submission. Since we completed final section, let's adjust the height on desktop to fit the content without any extra space. Click on desktop in the layer panel. Change the height to fit content. To review everything you completed so far, click on the preview icon. Go over the entire design and adjust the width to see how it looks at different sides. Everything seems to be working fine. Now, let's return to the editing screen and head back to the guide page. Once you check everything, let's move on to the next step. In this step, we're going to improve the site by applying animation effect, which is one of the frame's strengths. If we preview the animation, you will see that we will add an icon that rotates continuously and enlarge when hovered. Further down, we will apply a sequential reveal effect to the service card. And as we scroll down to the context section, we will apply a transformation effect that activates as you scroll. Then let's head back to the editor. First, we will add some icon in an empty space, just like we did before. Select the icon and add it to the section. Then change its position to absolute so you can place it wherever you want. On the tablet view, position the icon where you want it and fix its position on all sides. Do the same on the desktop version. Click the icon and fix its position on all sides. Make sure to fix it on the tablet version first, then on the desktop version. Now, let's add all the icons using the same way. After adding the icon, switch to the phone view. You will notice that the icons are not visible, but to make sure they stay hidden, click on the Hero section. In the Layers panel, select all the edit icons and set Visible to No. Now, let's apply the effect to the icons. Go back to the desktop view and click on Icon. On the right, click on Effect to see various options and select the loop for continuous rotation effect. There are two types, loop and mirror. Loop keeps rotating one direction, while mirrors alternate direction. We will stick with the loop and set the rotation speed by clicking on the transition. Set the time to 4 seconds. This means the icon will rotate at 360 degrees continuously over 4 seconds again and again. Next, click the plus sign to add another effect, and this time select the hover. The hover option lets you decide how the icon will change when you hover. To make it double in size, set the scale to 2. To quickly apply this effect to other icons, right-click on the icon and select the copy, then copy effect. Select the remaining icons. Right-click and select the paste, then paste the effect. To preview the changes, click on the preview icon in the top right corner. You should see that everything has been successfully applied. Try reducing the width to check the tablet view, and you will see that it's working perfectly there too. Now, let's return to the main editing screen. Next, we will apply some effect to the text and button. First, click on the title text and select Appear from the Effect panel to set up an animation that plays when the text first appears on the screen. Keep the trigger set to On Appear and choose Scale In from the preset option. To fine-tune the effect, click on the Enter effect below. Set the scale to 2 to reduce the text from twice each size to normal. Then click on Transition. There are two types of transition effect, ease and spring. Ease is used to make speed change smooth, while spring is for applying a bouncy effect. The best way to understand how each option affects your design is to set them and check the result in preview. For this example, we will set shiftiness to 200, damping to 15, and mesh to 2. Once you finish the setting that up, select the text below the title, click on Effect, and choose Appear. We will keep the simple fade-in effect, but to make it appear about 1 second after the title text, click on Enter Effect, click on Transition, and select the Ease to keep the effect smooth. Set the duration to 1 second and the delay to 1 second as well. Now, let's move on to the button. Click on the button, then select the effect on the right and choose Appear. From the preset option, select the slide-in bottom to have it slide in from below. Click on Enter Effect, then click on Transition, select Ease, set the time to 1 second, and the delay to 1 second as well. To apply the same effect to the Contiguous button, right-click on the button you just edited, select Copy, and then click on Copy Effect. Now, right-click on the button, select Paste, and then click on Paste Effect. Let's check the animation you completed so far by clicking on the preview icon. As you can see, all the effects have been successfully applied. Next, we will move down to the service section and apply an effect that makes each card design appear sequentially. Let's return to the main editing screen. Scroll down to the service section. Click on the entire consulting card. On the right, click on Effect and select the scroll animation. Set the trigger to activate when the layer enters the viewport. Through the Start option, make it start when top part becomes visible. And if you want animation to replay on each scroll, you can set Replay to Yes. I will set Replay to No and choose Slide in Left from the preset to have it appear from the left. The Enter effect trigger when the element first comes into view, while the Exit effect trigger when it leaves the view. We will only set the Enter effect, so click on it, then click on Transition, and select Ease. Set the time to 1 second, and delay to 0.5 seconds. For the other card, apply the same method, but for the design card, use the slide in right and set the delay to 0.7 seconds. For the development and marketing card, set them to slide in bottom with a delay of 0.9 and 1.1 seconds each, so they appear in sequence. Let's preview to check the result. You can see that the effect has been successfully applied. Now, for the final effect, we will move down to the contact form and set it to transform as you scroll. Let's return to the editing screen. Scroll down to the section with the contact form. In the Layers panel, click on the wrapper that's wrapping the entire contact form. On the right, click on Effect and select the Scroll Transformation. Change the trigger from On Scroll to Layer in View. Set the time to 1 second. the from and to effect define the starting and ending point of the animation. We will just edit the from effect. You will notice that opacity and scale options are already applied. Leave them as they are and go back. To add a transition effect, click on it. The spring effect is applied by default and we will leave it. Now let's preview the result by clicking on the preview icon in the top right. As you scroll down, you will notice the context section transform based on the scroll movement. We successfully added all the animation effects to the site. The animation we have applied here are basic effects that can be easily and quickly implemented, but as you experiment with them, you can design and apply your own custom animation effect. Let's wrap up this step by adding a link to the menu so that when clicked, they navigate to specific section on the same page. First, click the back button. To add a link within the same page, we need to assign the scroll section name to each section that we want to navigate to. Start by going to the About section. Once you are in the About section, click on the scroll section at the bottom of the right sidebar. Enter About as the name. Next, go to the Service section below and add another scroll section just like before. Name is Service. Now, do the same for the Testimonial section. Add a scroll section and name it Testimonials. Finally, go to the Contact section and add a scroll section named Contact. Once you have added all the scroll section, go back to the top of the page and double-click on the menu component in the header. Click on the About, then select the link from the top right corner. In the Link to field, select the home page. Next, click on the section field and choose the scroll section named About that we added earlier. Make sure No is selected for the new tab option and then set the scroll option to smooth. To modify the link style, click on Style, then click Edit for the link style. Change all color to black. Repeat this process for the remaining menu item, making sure each one is linked correctly. Once you have done, return to the home editing screen. Click the preview icon to check your work. Let's click on the About to see the smooth scrolling in action. As you can see, the scroll is smooth and take you directly to the section. Now, please return to the guide page. Once you have done, let's move on to the next step. In this final step, we will look at how to add and connect your own custom domain. Currently, with a Framer, you will need to create your plan to apply a custom domain and remove the Framer badge from the bottom of your site. We will go through all the steps, and we will use the Namecheap as the domain provider. Namecheap is one of the providers that Framer official documentation support for integration, but if you already have a domain from another provider, you can use that instead. So let's visit the Namecheap site to register the domain. Enter your domain name in the search bar and then click the search button. Once you confirm that the domain is available, click the Add to Cart. To proceed, click the checkout button below. Here, you can set the registration period for your domain and choose whether it should auto-renew when it expires. Domain privacy is included for free, so make sure it's enabled. To continue, click the Confirm Auto button. Now, just fill in the information as follow the prompt to create your account and register your domain. I will head back to the Framer editor now. Let's upgrade our plan in Framer to connect the domain. First, click the Publish button in the top right corner. Once that's done, click on the setting icon. In the left sidebar, click on Plan. You will see the available plan, which include the monthly and yearly option. If you only need a custom domain and simple one-page landing site, the mini plan is enough. But if you are planning to build a multiple sites and add a CMS blog, you might want to consider the basic plan. Once you made a decision, go ahead and click the Add a Site Plan button. The workspace plan is relevant when you are collaborating with others, but if you are editing the site alone, you don't need to worry about any additional cost even if you choose a plan. So, we will simply select the basic workspace. When the payment page appears, enter your payment information. Once everything is filled out, click the button to proceed, and I will move on to the next screen after that. After you completed the process, you will see a thank you pop-up. To remove the Framer badge from your site immediately, click the Republish button. Now that the plan upgrade is complete and the badge has been successfully removed, let's move on to connecting your domain. In the left sidebar, click on Domain. On the Custom Domain, select the option to connect a domain you own. Enter the domain you registered, then click the check icon on the right to save it. After saving, you will see the DNS record information that need to be entered. To enter this information, let's visit the Namecheap site. Log into the Namecheap, then click the domain list under the account on the right side. Click the Manage button next to the domain address you registered. In the tab, click on Advanced DNS. You will need to enter the DNS record information you saw in Framer here. If there is any existing one, delete it first. Now, enter the information exactly as shown in Framer. You've now completed the process of connecting your domain to your Framer site. Keep in mind that it can take up to 24 to 48 hours for the DNS record to be updated. So if your site doesn't appear right away when you enter your domain, try again later. Now, let's return to the guide page. Check off all completed tasks. We've covered everything from the basic concept for beginner in Framer to how to create a site and link your custom domain. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel.